All right. So I'm going to do 25 minutes here of whatever. Mostly, we'll call it live coding, but I don't know how much actual code I'll get done. What I want to show you what I'm going to show you how I do a project, a new project. So I'm going to add a library to K2. So over the years, hopefully there'll be lots and lots of libraries that make it easy to integrate with other products. And I have decided to go ahead and allow myself to get distracted for a week or so. And I'm just going to look at ChatGPT and see what I can do just playing around with ChatGPT, do some experimentation. But in the process, I'm going to start writing a little ChatGPT module that allows me to do stuff with ChatGPT in the future more easily. So, whatever I do is likely going to be wrong at this point. We're just going to get started and start building something. So here we are. Here's our library, our lib. If I go to GitLab, or GitHub, Git, which pushes to GitLab. I'm still on the 2023 0208 branch of K2. We've had a few changes here to some files. I don't know what they are. Let's see. I did modify. Okay, I'm just going to say, not sure. Commit and push. Let me see if I'm on the right network. I'm still not on the right network. We're going to try to switch networks here. So I've got I-40 right lane and left lane. Right lane is faster, no, slower than the left lane, but Robin is slower than Batman. But I think Robin is more reliable at this distance. All right. So go back to here, and what we want to do is let's get started. So I'm going to show you how I create a new project. So we're going to say new folder. We're going to call it ChatGPT, and let's just get some starter, like what files are we going to need. So we're going to need a new file, and let's change the tab size to 3, convert with spaces, and save this. This is going to be our ChatGPT package header.sql, and then what we're going to do is open containing folder. Bring that over here, you can see it. And we need package body. I hate when it doesn't show the extensions, and you have to go like into the folder settings to do that. It's kind of annoying. We're going to call this schema. They're all .sql, and we need a ChatGPT install. So that'll be our install file, package body, package schema. We could do views and stuff like that. We don't need those. We're probably just going to be starting with these objects. So now let's initialize these. So what we do is we put a comment called uninstall, and we're going to use our ArcSQL helper object. So we're going to say execute a procedure called drop package, and we're going to call it ChatGPT. And then we do a begin, an end, and then we say, oh no, sorry, this is a package. So create or replace package ChatGPT, say as, end, and then we just put something in here as a placeholder so it'll compile, and we're going to cut that. We're going to go to our package body, and we're just going to change that to package body, and we'll change that to Z, and then we're going to go to schema, and let's just create our first table. Oh, we're going to do we're going to go steal some code from up here. Yeah, we're going to steal that. It's kind of something that gets plugged in. It'd be schema. If 1 equals 1, then drop table. We'll call it ChatGPT. Like you can't name a table and a package the same thing. So we're going to say ChatGPT what? It's kind of a bummer. I wish you could. because often package names match my table names, or I'd like them to. We'll call it ChatGPT. Well, let's just do ChatGPT foo until we figure out what we're going to even use a table for. And then we're going to have a begin and end. I'm just kind of stubbing out the project. If not, does table exist? That's a functions part of ArcSQL helper objects. And we're going to call it ChatGPT foo. Then end if. And then we're going to do our. So I got an execute SQL function. Basically, it's a substitute for execute immediate. I tried changing these to execute immediate, and I hated the way it looked. This function can like suppress an error. That's about it, but I never use it. So I've started to remove that flag from the call. At least it defaults to defaults to raising up the error. So create a table ChatGPT foo, and then we're going to have foo ID, and let's see if it knows what I want. Number, come on, generated, yeah. Okay, we're going to go grab that one. Let's see. I use it everywhere. I couldn't figure out exactly. App schema's not going to work. Let's do super loser app schema. What? Wait a second. Where are my tables for soup? Why is it? I know that there is. Oh, there it is. Okay. So we're building basically something like this, and this is what I want. I couldn't tell which ones are actually defaulted from looking at the docs very easily. It wasn't clear, and so I just put all this in here. Determined by number on default, blah, 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 and then we'll call this foo number default 0, and we will close that out. And this is where you could say like false or true, like suppress errors. We're not doing that. I think that works. Okay, and we'll do a just so you can see it, add primary key. ChatGPT foo, and you know what I want. There you go. A little easier than alter table. Okay, and it doesn't cause an error if the primary key already exists. So let's see if we can install this. We've got 16 minutes. I shot one of these before. I don't think I uploaded it for a minute. Nobody saw it, but I had slowed the clock down because there was another video in the background that I was using that I wanted to go slower, and then I put this clock up here. And I was doing 25 minutes of coding, and it actually took 40 minutes, but I was completely unaware, and I thought it was the longest 25 minutes of my life. I couldn't believe it. I kept remarking, like, I can't believe this last 6 minutes is taking so long. I'm getting so much done. I really thought I was being super productive because I was getting so much done, and it wasn't. I uploaded the video and it was 40 minutes long, and I'm like, oh man, I must have left the camera on while I was like twiddling around, and then I realized no, there's no gaps, and I realized that the clock was going slow. So, okay, let's do our install. So ChatGPT install. We're going to install Chat GPT pkg header.sql. So I find that almost anything I want to build some kind of interface for, because there's always going to be things that it can't do or I need to do, and I have all these other things here that I can kind of combine to do cool things. So if I put it here, then it gets in my head and I know it's available and I know what to do. Oh, we want to do schema first. And that's it, right? Okay, so what we want to do now is we'll go in here. Let's just see if we can open this up. K2 lib ChatGPT install. And this probably won't work. I certainly have errors in there, right? Always have errors. Okay, of course there's errors. So table, if not does table exist, what do we got? Missing expression, comma, foo number default. Yeah, that doesn't work. Foo number default. So this is default 0. And I don't worry about all the errors. I just run it again and see what we get. Okay, so there, we're ready to get going. Now, we probably are going to need a config file for ChatGPT as part of K2. And we don't stick that config file here because that config could change between environments. So let's add a config file to K2 for ChatGPT. And what we're going to do, I got to be careful here not to show any of my secrets. What we're going to do is we're going to go to config. We'll start with default. We need to add. These are all default, so you can see any of these. Let's see. Let's just copy stripe config since that's already exists, and we'll say new file, save. We're going to call this ChatGPT config. You can see this is part of dev, right? So if we were doing prod, we'd have different values. We would create a prod folder, and it would be an install for prod, and it would have our prod values in it. And we tend to, let's rename, we call this secret. Now, secret, they're not excluded by default from in our get ignore. Let's show you my get ignore. Secret is not excluded by default, but it's recommended that you do that. For the purpose of development, I need to be able to check these files in. But you normally don't want these files checked into source control because they have secrets in them. And ideally, you know, a lot of times you're going to be using a secrets manager to manage your secrets and stuff. And so, you know, we could pretty easily wrap all of the config here with a secrets manager if we needed to. It would be some easy ways to do that. A lot of different ways to do that. But most time you're using some type of secrets service. So like at AWS, they have a secret service that you can use. There's whatever the company that puts out Terraform has, you know, a whole thing. What's it called? Forgot it. I've worked with it a little, but basically for managing passwords, auto-changing passwords, getting temporary credentials and all that, it's kind of the way to go. But a little bit more complicated than we need to do for what I do is kind of, I'm tailoring this for independent software developers or small teams of software developers that want to build rapidly on Oracle Apex. Or just in Oracle, because none of this, there's so much here that doesn't require Apex front end on it. You can just build a back end. So, so you would normally comment this out, and that would get included. So secret ChatGPT config. So we're going to call this ChatGPT config and global place. Whoops. Okay. Publishable key. You know, I don't know what these are going to be. Probably going to have our secret API key and probably an API URL. Okay. So that's there. And now we're going to need to run this manually for it to exist, because this would be installed when you either install K2 or you install your app, but you don't. Well, actually, what are we doing with Stripe? Let me just look. I did this for Stripe. Let's look at Stripe install. Yeah, we install schema. Yeah. We don't have, so the only way you get config, you can't like, you have to know to go do your config if you're putting an add-in by itself. But if you're installing K2, which you're normally doing, or that, it's going to install all these. So normally I just open another window here, And I am doing this in my chart density schema. But if I run an update, it's not gonna load any of this stuff. So we'll just leave that there for now. One thing you gotta be careful of making changes here and then not making them here and saving this file. Do that too often. I guess we could have opened the file, but I like to cut and paste. Okay, 9 minutes. So we need to add this to, like, when we install stuff we want to install. So we go to this install file, and hey, how easy is this? Secret ChatGPT config. So now that when I merge all these changes into, when I do a merge between, let's say, chart density and my default folder, I'll merge this back this way, and anything I've added there I'll merge into here, and and then this will all be here. So let's, if we want to just do first check-in for ChatGPT, we'll do a commit. Is there anything? Commit. And there it goes. So if you go to builtonapex.com/K2 and go to the only branch that should exist other than main, this branch, you can get this code right now. And it'll look just like this at this moment. Okay, is there any other installs? So let's look. I don't think. Let me look at K2. The install files are K2 install, and this gets run. So there's where it's running the install. It does run the default, and then to make sure every variable is there, and then it runs your specific config later to get your config, kind of overrides that. Or maybe not. Maybe that's where I used to do it. But anyway, this works. We got this install file. I think that's all I need to do. So basically, this is hooked up to use this add-in. Like, let's say I wanted to add this to chart density. I'll go show you what I would do. This would assume that I actually had the config file in here, which I don't. But all I would need to do is go to my app install, chart install. And let's see, I think, yeah, so here I'm installing Google Charts. And so all I would need to do is add the same command here, but for ChatGPT, ChatGPT install.sql, and then at the end of the chart install. Let me show you how that works. This seems complicated, but it really is as simple as, it's fairly easy to manage, fairly simple. If we go to the install folder for chart dev, this is our chart install. So it just sets our app directory and our environment directory, and then it calls K2 install, and then it calls the chart install file in your app directory for that environment. And that will install all the files. So K2 is going to install all the K2 stuff and the config files, and then this is going to install all the files in my chart directory, which it's going to call this thing to do. And that's where we're going to get down here and actually would install the ChatGPT stuff. It works pretty slick. I really like it. And so anyway, all right. 6 minutes. So the next thing we need to do is get our secret API key. So I'm going to go to ChatGPT. Now I've already got a secret key. If you're not familiar with this, what they'll do is when and I probably need to do this with chart density actually. I really like this interface, very clean, and it's very Oracle Apexy. What I do a lot of times is I can just hit print screen and I'll screenshot all these, and they go in a folder of like UI stuff. So any UI stuff I like to put in a folder and I'll eventually get it sorted. But I've got a slideshow that I can play occasionally on the side, and it goes through hundreds of different slides, screenshots and stuff. It reminds me of stuff that I've forgotten, or oh yeah, I want to look at that, or that. And over time, I'll remember a lot of these. But I really like the design of the site. This is this would be very easy to do in Oracle Apex. Get this look, very similar. So secret keys. Normally, you only give people the secret key when they click this create new secret. So like there it is. There's my secret, and I can copy it. and then you won't be able to view it again. So you click OK, and there it is. Okay, now I can go over here, and we'll say our secret API key is, and there. Now you know my secret key, but I haven't uploaded this yet. So as soon as I finish uploading it, I will, or before I upload it, I will get rid of this. Okay, so that is, and then we'll go ahead and delete. Let's revoke this, but you can't look at a key once it's been generated. So you only get to look at it once. I don't do that in chart density. That is really the best practice, and that is what I should be doing. Default organization. If you belong to multiple setting controls, okay. Yeah. Now, documentation. Now, I've already seen, I think in some solutions, put out a video. Is it in some? Maybe in some. Put out a video on how to use in Oracle Apex a RESTful data service and set this up. So that's probably what I'll go do or watch after I get off here and try to get this set up. And what I'm going to start doing is just seeing what is the easiest way I can make calls, change parameters and stuff like that. And if I need to set things up in Apex, I will probably then try to find ways to move those to my files. So that's where in our ChatGPT lib here. So for example, I need to store. Apparently, you know when you're talking to ChatGPT and it's giving you prompts, at least with the Python calls that I saw, it's your responsibility to get all those prompts and save them, and then each time resubmit them so that ChatGPT has that history. And so we might need a table to store that data in, or we might store it in some other type of data type. My preference is to store things in tables, unless there's a real good reason performance-wise not to. And I'd rather optimize later and go with a table, because tables are just so easy to work with, and they're persistent in your state, all that good stuff. So we might have a call that stores stuff and then retrieves stuff between calls and then submits it to ChatGPT, because I want most of the code to be in text, in code, so that it can live right here in our source code repository. Oh, that's bad, right? Yeah, we don't want this. Oh, wait, this is the default. That's why it's allowed. I'm sorry, it's allowed. So what I need to do is I'm going to go change the API key, and I am going to go ahead and revoke this one. I'll let it get uploaded, and it will. Well, I'll probably change it before I upload it so it doesn't look obviously like a security glitch. And then I'll just, from that point on, I will just compile from this page right here. We'll just leave this one up. This is the problem with doing development in the default folder, because that's all meant to be uploaded. Whereas if I was doing this in, and I probably will just move that after I get off here to chart density, because that's excluded. So what I'm going to be doing for the next week or two, between all the other things I have to do, so it's not full time, but I am going to kind of stop working on chart density. I hate to do that, because one of my problems in life is I work on something, then I find something else that's more interesting. But I really do think this is the time to, pour myself into ChatGPT. There's a lot of heat around it. I think it's warranted, and I really want to learn as much as I possibly can, and kind of see what I can do within the context of Oracle, PL SQL, and Oracle Apex, to build some tools, utilities for working with ChatGPT, and just share what I learn as I try to do this. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next week or two. So anyway, that brings us to an end of another 25 minutes. I'll leave the link for this cool little Pomodoro timer backdrop. And happy developing. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Really appreciate it.